Hi everyone, welcome to this channel. Today we are going to see database security in DBMS. Now, what is the meaning of database security? Database security can be defined as protecting a database from unauthorized access, malicious destruction, and even any accidental loss or misuse of data. Okay? So here, what is the meaning of database security? It is telling us what we are trying to protect our database from an unauthorized access. Unauthorized access means what? A person who enters a place without permission, and this is what called as unauthorized access. Okay, a person who tries to enter without an permission, this is what unauthorized access. Okay, malicious destructions and even any accidental loss or misuse of data. So we are trying to protect our database, right? Now, threats to database security can be. Now, what is the meaning of threats? Threats is any intentional or accidental event that may adversely affect the system. So this is what the threats meaning. Okay, that is nothing but purposely or accidentally it is harming a system. So that is what threats to the database security. For example, here we can take using another person login name to access data, right? Unauthorized copying of data or program or data alteration, illegal entry by the hacker, viruses, and so on. Now, the major database security threats are as follows. Very first one is loss of confidentiality. Loss of confidentiality indicates that unauthorized users have been able to access information. Okay. Loss of privacy. It includes loss of protection of an individual's data files. So here, very best example we can take for loss of confidentiality and loss of privacy. If my Gmail account is accessed by the another person whom I don't know, right? Or I know, but he is able to access my Gmail account, then there is a loss of confidentiality and loss of privacy. Loss of integrity, it refers to data corruption and invalid data. Okay, integrity. Here, suppose if a file was kept on my desktop, okay, and it was having certain important document, right? It is something important document, right? But after some time, if I open the file, I am not able to fetch the data which was kept previously, right? That means what? With the wrong data, I can go ahead, right? So this is what loss of integrity. Next is loss of availability. It includes the damage of hardware, the network or applications that may cause data to become unavailable to user. Okay, because of damage of hardware or any network problem, the user is not able to access its data. Then that there is what loss of availability of that data to the user. Okay, thefts and fraud. It includes intentional security break in which leads to stealing of information that has been stored on corporate system because of not having a proper access control, right? There can be stealing of data, right, to uh, to destroy the company, right? So this is what theft and fraud. Accidental losses, it includes losses as a result of human error, software problems, and hardware problems. So this can be accidental losses. Okay, so these are what the major database security threats. Okay. Now, to protect the database, we must take security measures at several levels. Very first one is what? Physical. The sites containing the computer system must be secured against armed entry by intruder or invader. Okay, these are nothing but the person who is trying to enter your system without your permission. Those are nothing but the invaders, right? So basically, physical protection to your computer system. Here we can take the example of the bank, right? Bank, for example, real life example, we can take bank, right? So here, there are certain guides who are guiding your entire bank, right? Where your finance is kept, right? So this is what the physical protection to your database, right? Human users must be authorized carefully to reduce the chance of any such user giving access to an intruder or invader in exchange for a bribe or other favors. बोलते हैं ना, रिश्वत अगर कोई ले, right, उस तरह का इंसान, the human must not be kept as an authorized person into your bank, right? Next is nothing but the operating system. No matters how secure the database system is, weakness is operating system security, which may serve as a mean of unauthorized access to the databases. The very, very important thing over here is what? There must be a strong operating system which is handling your entire database. Okay. Next, database system. Some database system users may be authorized to access only a limited portion of the database, right? Other users may be allowed to issue queries but may be forbidden to modify the data. It is the responsibility of the database system to ensure that these authorization restrictions are not violated. Okay, like you can take the example of the campus. Okay, so here the library department is handling some sort of data, the admission department is handling some sort of data, right? Where the other departments are having limited type of data access, right? So here the library department must not enter into the account department, right? Likewise here it is telling what? And the authorization restrictions must not be violated. Okay, as I said, library access, the database which is accessed by the library must not be accessed by the account department. So this is what the restrictions. Okay, and it must not be violated. Now next, there are three main objectives to consider while designing a secure database application. Very first one is what? Secrecy. Information should not be disclosed to unauthorized users. For example, a student should not be allowed to examine other student grades. Okay, so this is what is secrecy. एक student दूसरे student का grade नहीं देखना चाहिए. Second, integrity. Only authorized users should be allowed to modify data. For example, students may allowed to see their grades, yet not allowed to modify them. Okay? स्टूडेंट सिर्फ ग्रेड चेक कर सकता है बट उसकी अथॉरिटी सिर्फ ग्रेड चेक करने की है. इट मस्ट नॉट बी एबल टू मॉडिफाई इट्स ओन ग्रेड. तो दिस इज व्हाट द इंटीग्रिटी. नाउ नेक्स्ट इज what? Availability. Okay, very first one is secrecy, second one is what? Integrity, and third is what? Availability. Here, authorized users should not be denied with the access, right? For example, an instructor who wishes to change a grade should be able to allow to do so, right? So this is what? Secrecy, integrity, and availability. Okay. Now these are what the methods for database security. Okay. Very first one is what? Authorization, right? So here you can see a DBMS typically includes a database security and authorization subsystem that is responsible for ensuring the security of portions of a database against unauthorized access. It is now customary to refer to two types of database security mechanism. Okay, what is authorization? That is nothing but it ensures the security of portion of a database against unauthorized access, right? Next, so here we are going to see two types of database security mechanism. Very first one is what? Discretionary security mechanisms. Okay, discretionary security mechanism. These are used to grant privilege to users, including the capability to access specific data files, records, or fields in a specified mode, such as read, insert, delete, or update, right? So here you can see with this diagram, it can be more clear to you. Discretionary access control means what? So here this is the owner of the database, for example. Okay, and it is deciding what? It is deciding a group of people. So here you can see specifies users or group with access, right? So it is going to decide certain group which is able to delete, update, modify. This type of task can be performed by these groups. Not any other person beyond this group can access, delete, or modify the data. So this is what the discretionary access control. Okay, that is DAC, right? Next, now mandatory security mechanisms. These are used to enforce multi-level security by classifying the data and users into various security classes or levels and then implementing the appropriate security policy of the organization. That means what here a tree-like structure is formed into the security, right? Levels of securities are divided over here. For example, here we can take of the campus. So your principal is having certain type of security, then head of the departments are having certain types of securities, then teachers are having certain types of security. So this is what a tree like multi-level securities are classified. Okay. Now next is what access control. The security mechanism of a DBMS must include provisions for restricting accesses to the database as a whole. This function is called as access control. An access control mechanism is a way to control the data that is accessible to a given user. It is handled by creating user accounts and password to control login process by the DBMS. Okay. Next is what? Statistical database security. Okay. Certain databases may contain confidential or secret data of individuals of a country like Aadhaar numbers, PAN card numbers, and so on. And this database should not be accessed by the attackers. And therefore, it should be protected from the user access. The database which contains details of huge population is called as statistical databases, and it is used mainly to produce statistics on various populations. Like, users are allowed to retrieve certain statistical information of population like averages of population of a particular state or district and so on, and their sum, count, maximum, minimum and standard deviations, etc. Okay? The users which are allowed to retrieve certain statistical information of a population. Statistical information of population means what? It is going to have average number of population of that particular state or district, or we can say the count of the population, right? So this is what the statistical databases. Okay. Statistical users are not permitted to access individual data such as income of specific person, phone number, debit card, numbers of specified person in a database because statistical database security techniques prohibit retrieval of individual data. It is also responsibility of DBMS to provide confidentiality of data about individuals. Okay, that's why here statistical database are just going to maintain the information of the population like average, account and so on. It is not going to have the information like the income of a specific person or a debit card number, right? This is the responsibility of the DBMS to provide the confidentiality of data about the individuals, okay, to maintain the confidentiality of data about the individuals, right? Next, how the statistical users are going to fire the queries. So these are what the statistical queries. These queries which allow only aggregate functions such as count, sum, mean, max, average and standard deviations are called as statistical queries. Okay. Count, sum, mean. This type of functions, aggregate functions a query is having, so that is said to be a statistical query. Example, if a user is permitted statistical access to an employee database, he or she is able to write queries such as, you can see over here, select sum salary from employee where department is equals to 10. Okay, so here this is what the aggregate function. It is trying to add the salary of the employee table where the department is 10. Okay, 10 can be any department, so it is trying to add the salary of the employees of this department, those who work under this department, but it cannot. So this is what called as statistical query, where it is making use of the aggregate function, and this is what called as aggregate function, right? Sum. But not. What not? A statistical user cannot fire this type of query, okay? Like select salary from employee where E number is equals to 1. It is not going to give the individual data record for this statistical users. Okay. But here the group of data like departments data, it can be given to that particular statistical user. Okay. Now, what is granting privilege and revoking privilege? Privilege granting means what? This action permits the DBA to grant certain privileges, that is rights, to certain accounts. Privilege revocation, this action permits the DBA to revoke, that is cancel certain privileges, that is right, that were previously given to certain accounts. Okay. Granting means giving the rights and revoking means taking the rights again. Those were previously given to certain account. So this is what granting privilege and revoking privilege. Okay. Now, encryption technique for security. The primary purpose of encryption is to protect the confidentiality of data stored in database system or transmitted through internet or other computer network. Encryption is a mean of maintaining secure data in an insecure environment. In encryption, it applies an encryption algorithm to data using some predefined encryption key, and the resulting data has to be decrypted using a decryption key to recover the original data. Data encryption technique is used to protect data from threats. Data encryption is a method of coding or scrambling of data so that humans cannot read them. So here in this example, it will be more clear to you basic concept of encryption. In encryption, the message to be encrypted is known as plain text. Okay. The plain text is transferred by a function that is parameterized by a key. The output of the encryption process is known as the ciphertext. Okay. In this example, it is more clear. This diagram is nothing but the encryption technique. So here you can see there is a sender and at the other side there is a receiver. Okay. The sender is trying to send the data to the receiver. Okay. So here it is applying the encryption algorithm. Okay. So here the encryption message is nothing but is encrypted. Okay. And that is nothing but the plain text. Okay. And after applying some encryption algorithm on it, the plain text converts into a ciphertext. Okay. That means what? After applying an encryption algorithm on the plain text, the message is transferred into the ciphertext. Okay. Plain text here for encryption, one key has applied over here. Okay. And that making use of key at the receiver side, the plain text can be decrypted. Okay. So basically it is applying one encryption algorithm over here. After applying encryption algorithm, the message is called as ciphertext. Okay. And here if the intruder or the invader which is trying to access that particular message cannot access it, since the intruder is not having that particular key to decrypt the message. Okay. So here that's why the output of the encryption process is known as the ciphertext. Okay, let's go ahead and see. The process of converting the plain text to ciphertext is called as encryption, and process of converting the ciphertext to plain text is called as decryption. So here you can see after ciphertext, if it decrypts the message, okay, then this algorithm is called as decryption algorithm. Okay. Encryption is performed at the transmitting end and decryption is performed at the receiving end. For encryption process, we need the encryption key, and for decryption process, we need decryption key as shown in the figure in the previous slide. Without the knowledge of decryption key, intruder cannot break the ciphertext to plain text. This method is called as cryptography. This entire process is called as cryptography. Okay. At the sender side, the message, the plain text is encrypted with the encryption key, and at the receiver side, the text or the ciphertext is decrypted with the decryption key, and this entire process is called as cryptography. If the intruder try to access that particular message, it cannot access it because it is not having a decryption key. Okay. So this entire process is called as database security. Students, I have tried my best to explain you the database security. If you are having any doubt, please message me in the comment section. Thank you for watching this video.